What's up, everyone?
Fourth and one.
Love our sports podcast. The New York Football Giants. Love that.
What's up, everybody? This is episode number 6 of Fourth and One, a sports podcast. Fourth and One is presented to you by Why Am I a Nerd Podcast Network, where everyone is a nerd about something. My name is Sean Farrell, and sitting opposite of me is the golden voice of podcasting, Matt Ferreira. The man behind the statistics, as always, is Ant the Italian. What's going on?
What's going on, guys?
Fresh crack.
A fresh one.
Salute.
To the new 4th and 1. Let's go.
Woo.
1 week closer to real sports.
Episode number 6. We've come a long way.
We have come along, man. Look how much we've done.
What have you been up to?
Sobering up. After my...
Do you want to... is there any apologies going to be issued to any Ohio State fans? Or are you
No, they can still all go eat dicks. I hate that school so much. It's funny. Something came up yesterday where one of my friends was like, oh, you'd love to have an Ohio State player. I was like, funny story about that. I sent him the link to last week's episode. It's like 32 minutes in.
I was reading your comments on our episode number 4 about Jets fans. Jets fans are
pretty mad at me.
They were mad, yeah.
Jets fans are mad at me. So Jets fans, I'll give you guys an apology. Might have given you a little rough break. I do honestly think the Jets match up pretty well to the Giants in terms of talent. I think we're similar teams. I think the big difference is going to be with coaching, which granted, we haven't seen what Joe Judge can do yet. I know he's not Ben fucking McAdoo though, so I'm going to give him an edge.
Yeah, I think we obviously when we did the Jets thing, we were looking from an outsider's perspective, just looking at their schedule. Whether their team is better or not, their schedule, I think Anthony said, was ranked the second hardest schedule. It's hard to deal with that. Even if the Giants and the Jets are the same, if they have a way harder schedule, they're probably gonna have a worse record. I mean, that's on paper. Give or take a few games, but still.
Can I make a bold thing here? I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this.
You can do whatever you want.
Whoever the Jets fan with the best comment is on that, go back to that older episode, apologies to Jets fans. Whoever comes up with the funniest comment, we here at the show will vote on it. You can be our guest on the next, we'll figure an episode that you can be a guest on.
I like that.
Yeah.
There are Dolphins fans getting after you too.
There's Dolphins fans coming after me too, and that's Sean Clements, the Fins dude.
Wow, that's awesome. At
the Fins, PHINS dude on Twitter. Good friend of mine.
Angry tweet him now.
Yeah, angry tweet him now. Tell him what you think about the Dolphins. But no, I'm sure we could get him on a future show as well. He actually had an idea for something that I don't know if we'll get to today, but if not, definitely next week.
All right, cool. Yeah, I've been preparing for my fantasy baseball draft, and also conducting my fantasy league. I guess you could call it housekeeping, getting the draft order going.
Yeah, no, you gotta be ready. Now, do you do a snake draft or an auction draft?
Yeah, so I do a snake. I do a snake draft for my league that I run, and then I do an auction draft for another league I'm in.
Gotcha.
We did the auction draft back prior when we thought there was going to be season during spring training. So that's all.
You did it already.
That's all set.
Shit.
Which it's a keeper league in a certain sense, and then there's my league though. I had to schedule the draft, and this is a fantasy pro tip right here. The way I pick my draft order is I base the draft order on the previous year results. So consolation bracket, whoever wins that, first place, they have the number 1 choice of pick.
Interesting.
So I put them all in a standing. So if you win the consolation bracket, I go 1 to, I forget how many teams, I think it's like 1 to 6. And then however we finish the league is, obviously champion, you would have last pick of draft pick. So I just go down the list and they pick where they want to pick. So they choose their own fate.
Huh.
Now, I can give you, for instance, as you were doing your podcast earlier, we finished up our draft for draft pick. So I guess you call it draft selection process. However you want to word it, it's confusing. So the first 2 people picked 1 and 2. I believe the third person took the number 6 pick or the number 7 pick. So everyone has their own strategy. So you actually, and I do it for my fantasy football league too, you get to pick where you want to pick, but you have to earn it at the end of the year. So the end of the year, you're playing
to get that.
So it gives you something to play for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you don't make the playoffs. And if you win the championship, it doesn't really,
Yeah. But if you happen to get knocked out because of just dumb luck, but you had a good team, then you're still kind of rewarded for that. I like that idea.
Right, yeah, and it's nothing you could do. Obviously, it only works for snake draft.
Right.
Because you...
Yeah, with auctions, it's not
with
really
your...
gonna,
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. I like it, and it adds a little different element to the game. That got me into thinking about just fantasy in general. Fantasy football. My family has had a league since 1993.
Wow.
I was 4 years old, and I've been playing it. This is actually a true story. I was at a friend's house. I remember sleeping over at a friend's house, and my parents were coming to pick me up because we were going to our fantasy draft with my dad. It was like always a big event.
That's awesome.
And I said, "Hey, I'm going to our fantasy draft." And my friend was like, "What's that?" I legitimately thought for years that fantasy drafts was like an actual national thing.
That's a good
because we always had like a
though.
big party for it.
Yeah, that's sick. I like that. Like
as like a little kid, I was like, "Oh, fantasy drafts! Everyone does this."
Yeah, that's a great idea.
How they did it back in the day was my uncle would write a newsletter and send it out every week with the matchups. After Sundays or after the Monday night game, he would have to go in the newspaper and tally the stats, send them out.
Brutal. And just hope you got it right.
I always looked forward to going in the mail, pulling the newsletter out, and he would write recaps to each game or previews.
That's awesome.
With like your team logo. It was like a whole thing. And then in 2000, I actually looked it up. 2001 was the first year we had like online.
Oh, like statistics. You can actually
here's my roster from 2000. Oh, this is my 2002 roster. Okay, my quarterbacks were Steve McNair.
Wow.
Chad Pennington was our backup. Running backs: Emmitt Smith, Curtis Martin, Jamal Lewis, and a Tennessee Titan fullback, John Simon. Wide receivers: Chris Chambers, Chris Carter.
God, that's crazy to think he
Dante
was still
Stallworth, Keyshawn Johnson, and Quincy Morgan, and Terrell Owens we had, who was on San Francisco at the time.
Wait, who was it?
Terrell Owens.
Wow.
Bill Gramatica and Mike Vanderjagt were our kickers. I also remember vividly, me and my dad had Barry Sanders during his 2,000-yard Sander on our fantasy team. Like, it's crazy to think about and where fantasy is now, but that's what I've been doing the baseball thing. It's something. It's a grind. Baseball's a grind.
Oh yeah, baseball. I can't do it.
with our 60-game season, hopefully that's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be 7 weeks, I believe, of regular season, and then 2 weeks of playoffs for fantasy.
That's pretty cool.
So it's going to be a sprint, but it's a lot of preparation for one little thing. I also want to shout out Ross Reed for the intro music we got.
Oh, is that who did it? That's awesome. Thank
Ross
you for that.
Rick Grimes Reed, as he's known in the streets.
Okay.
He came up with a good intro for us.
Yeah.
With a little Giants dedication.
Yeah, no, I do love that.
So I think he'd appreciate if we gave a little New York
Football Giants. Let's go. Cheers to him.
Cheers to Ant.
I'm good. I'm not going to cheers.
You sure? Because what if we did it more times this century?
I'm
Should we
good.
do it again for the 2000.
Yeah, we might need extra.
The New York Football Giants. Let's go. That sound was actually the Cowboys locker room.
All right, before we get into the news, Matt, where can everyone find us?
Well, if you're looking for us, you can find us on Instagram at Why Am I a Nerd Official, on Facebook and YouTube, excuse me. YouTube, whatever it is, YouTube, that red and white website at Why Am I a Nerd, and on Twitter at 4th and 1 WON Pod. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars, as always, would be greatly appreciated.
You leave a review, we'll read it on the podcast. Please
Every
make
time.
it funny and make it 5 stars.
Yep.
All right. Patrick Mahomes is a rich man.
He is, but I have some questions about the way this deal is structured. Because it looks like he's not going to break $27 million a year until, was it like 2027, I think it is?
Yeah, I mean, the NFL deals never make sense to me because they could be like, we're going to cut you. We don't owe you any money.
Which is why I don't necessarily disagree when players like Jamal Adams is like, I want a big deal now. Because God forbid he gets hurt next year. They could be like, well, you're done. Like, your leg fell off during a game. That's it for you. And he's like, I played well over what I was earning.
Right.
So I think there's some leeway. There is something to be said for playing through the contract you have, but if you're top in the position, like there should be some kind of discussion.
What's your first purchase if you're landing that kind of deal, like Patty McHome's?
That's a good question. Probably a second house, just because I don't think I'd want to live in Missouri year round. I'd probably buy a house in San Diego, but that's just me.
No, I mean, yeah, that's you gotta. I'm not that you would buy something immediately, but when you're making $500 million over 12 years, Now, is he going to see that money? Like we said, chances are it goes into 2031.
Yeah,
chances are low. It's hard to say because every year there's that record deal.
Yeah,
it seems that the money just keeps going up. The salary cap's going up every year.
Oh, it's increasing nonstop.
You see it a lot in the NBA, the NFL, obviously the MLB.
I think it was 7 years ago. Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken, had the record deal, and it was only $22 million. You know what I mean? $22 million a year, excuse me. And now Patrick Mahomes is just blowing that out of the water with what's, I guess, technically $50 million a year, but
with endorsements with him. You know, he had the Madden cover last year. He's the top guy, Super Bowl winner. I mean, he's cashing in. Right now, he has to cash in.
Oh, he has to, 100%. And this is something I didn't even consider. If he's super smart, if he's like, Marshawn Lynch and Gronk, he might not even, cash those game checks. He could put those directly in the bank, directly in investments, and literally come out of the league a billionaire.
I mean,
he could live entirely off endorsements and just get to that point.
Most of these guys, though, like the athletes, and because I had interned with the Nets back when they were with New Jersey, like when and I'm sure obviously football is different, but when they're going to the stadium to play, like they're provided food after workouts and protein, and after games they have catered they have catered meals. Are they eating that stuff? Who knows? But they're still provided all these extra benefits for free, and they're not paying for anything with their game checks. They can make appearances and make enough spending money.
Yeah, you could show up somewhere, and it's like I remember once I had the chance to go meet Odell Beckham, and I was all down for it. And they're like, "Yeah, it's $300." I'm like, I do not have that just to throw on meeting Odell Beckham right now. Not at that point in my life.
Yeah, I mean the contract's crazy. I think he's eligible for an extension. Like he can opt out at a certain point, and I know there's a certain. Why would you? I mean. The problem is, like I said, the contracts go up every year. So, at some point, if he's just crushing it up until that year, he's going to opt out. He's going to re-sign for more money for that first year, Which
he's 100% going to deserve.
Right.
He's 100% going to deserve that. Like, I mean, he's playing lights out right now. And the fact, doesn't it kill you a little bit to know he was almost a Giant? It was like, no offense to Dan Dimes.
Dan.
Like, no offense to Dan. I very much trust Dan. But Mahomes looks really good. I don't know if he'd be as good behind our offensive line when he was drafted, though.
No, I mean, I think he fits like what Andy Reid's trying to do too. Like he fits that system.
They're building the team the right way.
Right, they're building the team around his skill set. They're putting speed on the field, a really good defense to get him the ball, playmakers all over the place. Like I believe they drafted a running back in the NFL. Anthony, who
they got Hyde Belair.
Right. They drafted, and he wasn't the most touted running back, but he could catch the ball. He catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's super fast, pure athlete. Like they're just building a team around Mahomes. I mean,
and something you said that's critical to think about here: super fast. That's a very scary fast team. Although somehow not faster than the Giants, according to 40 times. Granted, it's a little dated.
We'll look at the game.
Yeah, tape. a little dated when it comes to tape there, but still. Interesting to see.
Interesting to see. We'll like this. I guess we'll see how it plays out. Actually, my one fantasy team name, which we took the championship there, is Patrick is MaHomie. And he was on my squad. I'm having him back for in the 7th round as a keeper. So shout out to thanks for the championship. Thanks for the championship. Let's talk about this UFC Fight Island. I am a casual UFC guy.
Same. I'm kind of like, if it's on and I'm there, I'll check it out.
But the logo that I have on this website is basically a UFC ring amongst palm trees, and I'm all for it.
That does look dope.
Now, I don't think are they actually fighting outside, Anthony?
Do you see the, if you scroll down a little bit, it looks like it actually is outside.
Yeah, they're outside
now
on sand.
How, like, I read that. So this is in Abu Dhabi, I believe.
Abu Dhabi,
an
yep.
island of Abu Dhabi, and they're basically paying for them to be there. Like this is just.
Street publicity.
Yeah, it's a great marketing deal for them. Now, obviously, no one can travel there to see the fights, but afterwards, maybe you want to go to Fight Island.
Oh yeah, 100. Why would
This
you?
is where we can host you against Dwayne Haskins in the future. Like when UFC clears out of there.
I did threaten to fight him, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take it.
You did. That was last week.
Hamburger ass.
You're bigger
I'll
than
take
him,
really
so.
Yeah.
You have better reach, I believe. No, I think it's
Probably got a better
a
arm,
cool
too.
thing. I mean, my thing is as long as they can keep it. Obviously, they have the money to do the testing and keep everyone safe there.
Yeah.
If one person gets it there, that whole
that
operation
whole
gets
thing's
shut down.
done.
And that's like any of these sports. Like if someone gets it within a team or
risky,
during a
yeah.
game, it's risky. You can have the whole thing shut
But I
down.
wonder for football, couldn't they do something with the helmets? I feel like to add a rebreather. You can't build
honestly,
an N95
honestly,
in
they
there.
probably will. They probably could. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, Abu Dhabi's Yas Island.
One thing I will say, Fight Island sounds like, I don't know.
Sounds like a
some
movie.
kind of. It sounds like an anime movie or something. Like we're going to Fight Island. Like they're gonna
No,
have this whole,
I saw a
epic
joke
battle.
about it's like they're in Mortal Kombat. Did you ever see the Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat movie?
that's exactly what it's like. Bring me his soul. Like all that freaking.
Yeah, it's like they're legitimately. This is Mortal Kombat.
It's straight up Mortal
Live.
Kombat. People aren't going to come back because their souls are gone. There's going to be a dude with 4 arms just ready to go. Ninjas all over the place. Shout to Sub-Zero. He's the best character.
All right, so what fights will be at UFC Fight Island? We have July 11th. We have Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. What do
Props
you
to
think,
you
Ant?
for
Who's
saying
winning?
that.
Oh, man, that's going to be a great fight. I know Jorge's the underdog, but, I mean, he's coming in strong.
It's good that they're getting, like, marketable big names to fight here.
Even the
too.
undercard is very good. I
don't
mean,
know
the
if I can,
prelim, everything. I mean, it's going to be good
I thought
fights.
that was a plus sign. Open up a tab for an undercard. It's not. But I mean, they're having a fight there. Look, according to the schedule, July 11th, July
There's like
15th,
two
July
next
18th,
week, yeah.
July 25th, and for not having anything until July 31st with basketball, August 1st now with the NHL. Training camp's going to open up soon for the NFL. I mean, this is what people are going to be able to tune in and watch.
This is something else right here. I mean, I will say, like, I don't know much about UFC fighters. I'm very interested in seeing Robert Whittaker. I just assume he's going to be Forrest Whitaker in a different outfit versus Darren Till. That's something I'm very curious about.
Oh, I mean, hey, UFC Fight Island, tune in. We got it all July.
All July.
We're gonna have to catch.
Best month of the year,
we might have to
honestly.
record us reaction to the fight. Maybe we'll
That's
put
an
some,
idea,
maybe we'll put
yeah.
some bets down. We'll throw some beers back,
There we go.
and we'll call it a night.
There we go. Well, we take a sip every time your
Every
selected
time,
fighter gets
every
hit.
time
Yeah.
a punch is thrown.
Yeah. Oh
We
my
gotta
God.
amp. We gotta amp the.
I was going to say,
this
there's a
isn't Power
kick.
Hour.
You gotta take a shot, but we might die.
Well, Matt, I know Sean knows this, but do you know the difference between the people in Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
I don't.
The people in Dubai don't watch the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do.
And there is your dad joke of.
I'm so mad at myself for walking right into it. I'm like, what? There's a difference? Like, oh, man. Directly. I get that for all the puns I've been doing.
Hey, we got it. That's the dad joke of the episode, and that's my job. But Anthony is a dog dad, and unless we hear otherwise, a future dad.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let's talk about the Ivy League. I think the Ivy League postponing fall sports has kind of, since that announcement has happened, we're going to talk about it in the other news.
Yeah.
It's kind of erupted amongst other conferences and football, saying they're doing a conference play. But the
Yeah.
Ivy League postponing fall sports as a safety precaution, they set a standard, I guess, kind of by doing that.
They definitely did. And college, I think, had the toughest time to begin with. I believe we said this on a previous segment, where it's just, the big leagues have the money to kind of throw into this. But colleges, I don't even think they fully know if they're going to be on campus for the year. So while, yes, it might be easier for them to dorm just the athletes and be like, okay, if nobody else is on campus, you guys take, West dorm, you guys take East dorm,
Right.
whatever the hell it is. It's still going to be really tough to to have that to get these guys to different places.
Yeah, and
so
I know in Harvard they got a lot of pushback just in general because they said they're not even going to campus for students and their tuition's staying the same.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And they're doing all online classes, and obviously there's a lot of people that are upset with just what they're saying, and they're not even going to have the regular students on campus, and they're still not going to have the opportunity to do the fall sports. Now, that doesn't mean the fall sports are going to go to the wayside and they're never going to play them. They might do it in the spring if it's possible, but I think they might end up looking, they already look like the smartest ones in general, but they might look like the smartest ones overall because if there are issues with, an increase in COVID cases where either teams have to drop out or games have to be canceled, which we're gonna talk about. Maybe they're making a proactive move, and maybe they're making the right move. It's hard to say because we don't know what it holds, but it's. I think the Ivy League, they're not trying to make money on their sports.
No, they're not, and
that's
never
an easy
have.
decision for
But
them. Where the other conferences, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, the Ivy League's just more been just it's all in the name.
Right.
They really don't have to advertise.
Right. All those athletes are also going to school.
Yeah.
They're not there. There are professional athletes that come out of Ivy League, but for the most part,
Fitzpatrick. And I will give a shout to my good friend Steven Richter, who is a former pitcher at Princeton.
Oh, okay.
Call him Ivy League Steve. He's a goddamn savage.
So I don't know. I mean, Ivy League postponing fall sports, they're obviously not in contention for certain things as far as football goes. Maybe in other sports they are. I know Stanford is canceling. They're getting rid of like 11 of their sports or so.
It's like
so they're really cutting down on stuff, and I think that leads into our next news topic, which is the Big Ten, the ACC, and about 30 minutes before we started, the Pac-12 are all going to conference play.
Yeah.
And that's for all of their sports, not just
which
football.
This to me, if you're gonna insist on playing sports, this does make sense to me. This would be the way to do it. Just keep it kind of contained, change your schedule. It sucks for the smaller schools and conferences that can't really afford this, but it does. If you're gonna do it, it makes sense.
Right.
I think we're gonna be looking at it getting canceled regardless. Like as much as I want to see my Wolverines take the field, I don't think this is a year.
Yeah.
On the bright side to that, we won't lose to fucking Ohio State, those rat fucks.
Well, I mean, right now they're going to play them. But the other thing is they're going to have to fill their schedule. Like, so Michigan, like we talked about last week, is not going to play Washington. They're not going to play Washington. So that at least they have more teams in their conference who they could play. Now, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they are going to be allowed to play the ACC teams based on the deal they have. So that's 6 games. But how is now the Pac-12, that means we're not playing USC, we're not playing Stanford, so that we're 2 games down.
Yeah.
We're not playing Wisconsin, now we're 3 games down. There has been talk to fill games with other maybe conferences of smaller teams that are going
with the
to
MAC? Like I don't understand how they're going to bring this in and say it's contained.
So now I think we're waiting on the SEC. What are they going to do? The Big 12. What are they doing? How is this going?
The SEC is going to play. The South will literally riot. I feel like if they don't get.
But are they going to play other? Now, I mean, are they going to play other teams? Because they've had some games that are probably canceled.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't.
How are they going to figure out the college playoff? Is there going to be a college playoff?
Well, this is what I've said from the beginning when they first introduced the college playoffs. There should be. I'd have to double check on how many exactly big conferences there are. There should be one representative. You in the Big Ten, you in the Pac-12, you in the ACC. You're in. You get a slot. Pardon me. Then there should be one independent slot for guys like you, the Irish who want to fight. Then there should be another, maybe 1 or 2 for the best small school that's in a conference, or something that you just like.
Right.
If
you're proposing more of like an 8-team.
Correct. And they go in and you have a playoff style that way. And, then you figure out who the champion is.
Right.
As opposed to just, okay, these 4 teams we determined are the best. And, that's not really a playoff to me. That's a couple extra games.
Right. I think it's just tough to size up. When you're only playing in your conference, like when the Pac-12, if there's 2 teams that go, undefeated until their championship game, when they're not normally top teams, how are you going to size them up against 2 undefeated ACC teams?
Who is it? I want to say it's Florida State, but I feel like that's wrong, that went undefeated for like 3 years straight and just didn't get any kind of consideration. They were ranked, but didn't get consideration to make the playoffs. I'm like, this would eliminate stuff like that, where if you're like clearly deserving, you get a spot.
Yeah,
So
I
hope
agree
this
on the
has some
expansion
influence on
of
that.
to 8 teams. I just don't know for this season. It's tough to say, like, how are you going to put a college playoff together that's fair?
Yeah.
You know, when people already complain about
It's
the
not fair
fairness
as
of
is,
it in
yeah.
general.
It's already not fair.
It's
So
going to be
yes.
impossible to size teams up on conference play. Maybe you just have to send the conference champion of, you know, the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, and then how do you figure out between the Pac-12 and independent? You know, there's no
also-
good answer here. I
And,
don't
you
know what they're going to do.
And to really kind of extrapolate on this, I believe we brought up a similar topic in a previous episode. But also, so let's say the NFL happens, but college football doesn't. How does that affect how teams draft players? If they don't have current footage to go off of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you going off someone's potential? Like, I wonder.
Well, and I think that's another thing. Even if they do play, are players going to sit out? Number one, for safety reasons, if they are afraid of contracting
yeah.
COVID. Number two, are they going to say, what am I playing for if we're only going to play the Now, obviously, you want to represent your school in the conference, but if the chance to get a national title is between 4 teams out of these conferences and you don't know how they're going to be picked,
Yeah.
is it fair to say top players could just be playing for a tryout to show their NFL potential? Or are they just going to be like, look, I know what I can accomplish in the NFL. I'll go to the combine and prove it. And you have my game tape for the last
from
3
previous
years. Why don't I just sit out?
And I'll propose another question for you. And this might need to be answered by the only Redskins fan I know, Dave Sarner of Rise and Fall Pod, who eventually, when we can have more people on, I'm sure will be joining us. So let's say that college football doesn't happen and NFL doesn't happen, God forbid, which would be fucking awful.
It would be awful.
Let's say it doesn't happen, though, and they keep the draft order exactly the same as it was last year. We can assume the Bengals aren't going to take Trevor Lawrence first overall. But not being satisfied with Dwayne Haskins, I wouldn't put it past the Redskins to take Trevor Lawrence. And now they go from being I don't want to say a joke of a franchise, but more of a bottom barrel team in all consideration, to having the premier edge rusher and the premier passer, and neither of them have played it down yet. They're still completely fresh, like, you know.
Right.
Young
And I
Mercy's
think
entire
this is
playbook.
going to go into some questions we got. Basically, you know, on what are they going to do if the college season does get canceled? What are they going to do for seniors and juniors with eligibility?
Yeah.
And we'll touch on some of that stuff later. I think this is just going to be something that, you know, they're going to try to make the best decision for the overall population of student athletes. And even with the NFL, just for the safety and health of the players, if they don't play, like, how are they going to make those decisions, drafting new players?
Yeah.
It's going to be really up in the air, and you might have, like, you know, in 2 years have all these rookies on one team. And hopefully it doesn't come to that, because I was listening to sports radio before I came here, and, you know, they were saying, no, we can go outside now. We have the beach. We have things to distract us here in the Northeast. But in October and November, when things get cold, and if we don't have
Nebraska,
we don't have sports, like, people are going to be upset.
People are going to be, and I hate to say it, but the way things are trending with this is not looking good.
Right.
So we very much will be in some kind of deficit. We're going to all be watching the same Madden live stream.
I mean, last
what I
week
mean?
we were
Like,
predicting.
yeah.
Last week we were predicting schedules for college football teams, and those schedules have totally changed
completely
in a week.
Completely. But as always, fuck Ohio State. I can't say it enough. Fuck them. Fuck them right in their fucking asses.
I was gonna actually look into it. I might still do it. Just get the fuck count on that last episode, just because I think it was astronomical.
Yeah,
you might have
a
set
lot.
like a record. Like,
There's
you might be
a
able to submit it to Guinness World Records.
I think you used that word 3 times in a row. It was like fucking fucker fucks or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We brought out his inner Negan because
Yeah.
we teased that Negan comic
exactly
prior
what it
to the
was,
episode. The NHL agrees to new CBA and play starts August 1st. All right, so we have more sports.
Yeah, let's go.
They're going to start their playoff August 1st. The new CBA is good. That means they're not going to be hitting a lockout, or they've agreed. I believe it's 6 years, so they're set for the next 6 years. They're going to have their playoff August 1st. We have something else to watch on TV.
Yeah.
I know the Devils aren't going to be participating.
No,
but at least we have NBA
Something.
July 31st. We have NHL August 1st. We're a couple weeks away from real sports here.
But honestly, something that we're gonna get now that I didn't realize how much I was missing was June was always the most fun part of the year because not only is it getting warmer out, summer's kind of here, but you've also got the NHL has their playoffs on, the NBA has their playoffs on. You know what I mean? Like football, nothing's happening with.
Right.
But like you've kind of, I'm sorry, baseball's well underway. So you've got like kind of the best mix of sports and weather.
Yeah.
That you get all year, and I was just like, oh man, like it's
and now August is going to be NBA playoffs.
It's going to be everything.
NHL playoffs. NFL.
It's going to be like October,
NCAA training
but
camp,
with good weather.
baseball. It's going to be great. NFL cancels the jersey swap. What's your opinion about the jersey swap? And when did this start, and why is it such a big deal? Like
jersey swap pissed me off when I would see Giants players trading with Eagles players because fuck them almost as hard as Ohio State. But
almost.
I don't almost. If you're an Ohio State player that went to the Eagles, like go fuck yourself. Like I didn't want to see you on TV.
Like even if it's a Giants game, you're turning the TV off.
I'm not turning the TV off. I'm just
you gotta take like a breather.
Yeah, I'm probably just cursing them out in my head. Goddamn Buckeyes. Sorry. Tourette's. The jersey swap cancellation, it seems like a very kind of unnecessary knee-jerk thing. Like, I can't imagine people are really going to be ushering them completely off. Like, it's weird to think about teams just walking away. I get the league has to do kind of something, you know what I mean, to show they're doing it. But to me, it seems a little redundant and unnecessary when you have people tackling each other, you know what I mean? So unless there's going to be something
it's just become
goes
like
with
this
helmets.
new thing that's really not a big deal. Like if you're Saquon Barkley and you want someone's jersey, you could just probably get it from anywhere you want.
You could probably literally write that guy a
It's
letter,
more of like turning into like this tradition, like, hey, game respects game almost.
Exactly.
And I get it. Like they want to be as safe as possible. Related to this, I was watching the Yankees simulated game yesterday, and each pitcher now carries his own bag of balls. And even after a strikeout, they throw it around the horn, but that ball does not go back to the pitcher. So they pull a new ball out to play with.
So what if they run out of balls? So they just have a
They
ton
just
of
have
Purell
yeah. So no, actually they have
Really?
a bag, and then they sanitize all the balls again, and then that player just carries around like
his ball sack.
Yeah, his ball
This
sack.
guy's ball sack with him the whole time.
Title of the episode.
Yeah, ball sacks and fuck Ohio State.
Clean your ball sacks.
All right.
Keep your ball sack clean.
so-
I love it. Actually, it's great.
Promising news on the Mets front.
Yo.
The Mets have been for sale for a while, allegedly.
Let's go. Please can we get this done? LGM. Like, let's get this done. Get the Wilpons out of there. $2 billion, I think is the current
Right,
price.
and I believe they're buying SNY for $2 billion as well. So,
Really?
yeah, I think they're going to get the full package, $4 billion. If you're the Wilpons, like, do you want to be criticized even more as being terrible owners? Like, just sell the team. You have $4 billion.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the last deal they got. They're like, okay, you own the team, but we control everything they do for the next, like,
It's like, get over
10
your
years.
power
Like,
trip.
Are you kidding me?
You know,
Like,
just sell the team.
Everyone hates you for a reason.
Right, like
just
the Mets' last big signing was Jason Bay from the Red Sox. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's like either spend money or make money. Pick one.
Right.
Either spend it or make it. Like, you've got your options here.
I mean, I think it's a good deal for both sides.
Yeah.
You know, if you're the new owner, you're going to have fans on your side because they're going to be so happy the Wilpons are gone, and you kind of can make your impact right away.
Clean slate. You can sign free agents. You can have a major market team for a potentially bargain deal. Imagine the Mets 10 years from now if you make the right moves. You know what I mean? How much more money you're going to be making? It's going to come back instantly.
Like when Garrett Cole was a free agent this year, like the Mets aren't even in talks.
Yeah.
Now they do have a great pitching staff, but they should at least be mentioned as a prime market team.
Yep.
With the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, like all those names pop up for all the main guys whenever they're free agents, and the Mets just are never mentioned.
It's like, we're going to take a nap here.
But I mean, they did that. The Wilpons have done it to themselves. Like they're not considered
100%.
contenders when it comes to big names or spending money.
And no one trusts them. Like, as well, they shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm all for it too. I want the Mets to be competitive. It'll make sports more fun in this area.
Oh my God! Imagine how good the Subway Series would be.
And they're not
You know
far.
what I mean?
Like the Mets aren't far off. and they're missing
No.
a couple players.
We got the polar bear. We got a great pitching staff. Like, there's a few things they could really do. We got Cespedes. There's a few things that they could do to really just take it to the next level that just aren't being done, and that's full on ownership.
Yeah, I mean, I'm praying for all Mets fans out there. As a Yankees fan, I hope you guys get it done, because the one thing I can't stand on sports radio is just listening to Mets fans complain about the Wilpons. But I understand, I get it. I'm a Knicks fan. We have Dolan, so we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. Our last news story, which I got 5 minutes before we started, is DeAndre Baker and I believe is it Quentin Dunbar?
Yeah,
Quentin Dunbar allegedly paid their victims $55,000 to keep quiet about their robbery.
My first comment on this is I owe about that much, maybe a little bit more in student loans. I will keep quiet about whatever the hell you want if you guys want to just come over and drop me
trying to
some of
rob?
that cash.
What did they steal?
They stole, like, I think $17,000. Like, it couldn't have been. I mean, Anthony,
all right, so they're net profiting.
Yeah, like negative.
Matt, we need you to pull a calculator to do the math.
Yeah, like, oh, hold on a second. Let me get my.
But I think if that's true, he's done. And
is that good? But can they prove that if these guys actually keep quiet?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. But there's it looks bad on DeAndre Baker because it's obviously has a warrant out for his arrest. He turns himself in. He tweets out, "Don't believe everything you read." Now, if this is true, he's obviously covering something up. Yeah. I hope it's not true.
Oh, I hope to God it's not true. I would love to.
It just looks
really
bad.
It looks bad, and the New York media is going to crucify you. His play has got to be completely pristine following this.
So,
I mean, he can't get worse than last year.
It says roughly $73,500 in cash and watches were stolen.
73,000.
So
yeah, 73.
He's like, I'll give you 2/3 of that back if you don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping the other $20,000.
Just like, yeah, that's.
I hope it's not true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, it's a.
My real question is, what do these watches and jewelry do? Like, is he secretly the Green Lantern? Like, how bad did you really need this stuff back?
Story.
Yeah, like, how bad did you really need this stuff back that you had to steal it? You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't just let it go. Like, and none of them were smart enough to think, like, maybe if we drive off in an orange Lamborghini, like,
no one will notice us.
Nobody's going to notice us. Everyone has orange Lamborghinis.
Do you see how much these watches cost that they stole?
No.
It says they stole more than $12,000 in cash, an $18,000 Rolex, a $25,000 Hublet. I don't know what that is. Hublot.
Yeah,
sure.
It's spelled stupid.
And a $17,500
better.
I do like Hublet.
Sounds like Pokemon.
Audemars Piguet timepiece. I don't even know how to fucking say
that. I know what you're talking about. I only know because literally both those I only know because of Jay-Z.
I used to wear watches until I got the iWatch, and that broke, and I haven't put on one since. I stayed out of the watch game for a while.
You
hear me, DeAndre? I don't have any watches.
Break them off, man. Come on. It's the J. Cole and Jay-Z song, Mr. Nice Watch. Jay-Z goes through a few, and that's the only reason that I knew it was Hublot.
That might be our new outro. So.
He's got I got a Hublot I call Tebow.
Okay.
Something like that. Like,
I'm
gonna listen to that.
Side note: I was Tim Tebow for Halloween once.
I can see that actually. Okay.
Sean's his twin.
Back in the day.
Can we get him on the show?
I actually.
He's mad.
And at 1:00 in the morning, people thought I was Tim Tebow walking around at the bars in South Carolina.
Awesome. The best thing I ever did. I'm going to ruin it right now. Whenever I'm in New Orleans, my friend was like, the first time we went.
Hold on. Let me ask you about that statement. Whenever I'm in New Orleans, how often do you go?
I've been 3 times.
Okay.
So whenever I usually go for Halloween. I didn't go this past year because I went for a wedding a few months prior. But whenever I'm in New Orleans, if I'm single, I changed my Tinder profile to that I'm a former Saints player. I just find a picture where my face is kind of blacked out, and the caption is, "Who can turn this New Orleans Saint into a New Orleans sinner?" Always works.
That's solid. Funny story about that is we met. We could probably find him on there. I don't remember.
He's
his
probably
name.
like overseas.
During my bachelor party, we hung out with this player that was in the NBDL, and he became my best friend. Out of nowhere.
Well, we were at the time we were with Sean's cousin Mike, who played on the Seattle Sounders.
Oh no shit!
And I was Googling both of them to see who was more famous. Mike was more famous than this guy.
Yeah,
no shit.
Yeah, a little more.
But
clout.
he also he was the guy to be with because he was like 6'9", and he stood out you could see him and he took he just became our best friend for 2 nights.
Yeah, he
That's awesome.
stopped out our bottle service with his boys.
Yeah,
drinking.
He had a bodyguard. The guy didn't look like a You remember that guy?
Like, probably smaller than him. Like that's you know what? I'm gonna bring
New
this
Orleans
back.
brings some good times.
New Orleans is such a good. We actually should do a trip once we're allowed to travel again. We should do a 4th and 1.
I'm in.
At the
4th and 1.
Superdome.
Barely.
Saints not sinners.
Hold on.
Nothing.
That was something.
And now we're gonna take it into overtime. Hey, before we get into that, let's get a word from our sponsor. Why Am I a Nerd podcast network has been brought to you by our sponsor, MeMoms. The best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. MeMoms specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com. But no, New Orleans is a great time. That would be a good trip. Yeah, bachelor party was a success. Awesome. Cameron James was about to go back due to coronavirus. His trip was canceled, so RIP that trip. But it's a phenomenal place.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's do some Q's and A's.
Let's go.
I believe Ant. We got a couple from my boy Pat McWigan.
Oh man, love that guy. All right, so Pat from South Kakalaki.
Kakalaki.
Where is that?
That's in South Carolina.
Oh, okay, but it's south of North Kakalaki.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. West of East Kakalaki, we got it.
He wants to know who are MLB favorites with the 60-game schedule having just been released. Who's the easiest / toughest schedule, and will major players opt out?
This is tough. Admittedly, I apologize, Pat. I apologize not only for making fun of the name of your hometown, but I haven't fully looked at the schedule yet, so I'm going to take a look at that right now.
I mean, let's go MLB favorites. Regardless, you have to go.
Well, who was
Dodgers?
The season? Yeah, Dodgers.
You got to go Yankees.
Yep.
I think the main thing for the favorites has to be depth, because if you do have someone that gets knocked out for injury, COVID, whatever reason, you have to have someone to fill his spot.
Totally agree.
The Yankees, just from being a fan, last year, I mean,
can you ever really count the Yankees?
How many
out?
injuries did they have where they had to fill spots? It was unreal.
It was like unreal.
It was every position they lost somebody, and they won 100 games. So obviously, as a Yankees fan, they are a contender. I think to be a favorite or a contender in this, you do have to have depth. Astros are going to be there despite all the stuff around them.
I so hope that punishment gets extended. I know we say this almost every time they come up, but it would be such absolute garbage if a worldwide pandemic somehow lessened the impact.
Unfortunately, it's going to. Without fans, they're not going to face the wrath, and maybe from the players on the other teams, they will.
It's got to be carried through game. Like, they're definitely going to be by players. Like,
in the National League, though, you have the Dodgers, who are the top spot. Other than that, they kind of got robbed. So I can see. Yeah. I don't know. You have the Nationals, obviously, maybe a repeat contender. They did come from. They weren't the favorite to win. They did put together a good run in the playoffs. It's hard to say who the favorite is. I don't think the 60 games changes who the best teams are. I think they're still.
Well, it does. Sorry, it doesn't change who the best teams are. What I was going to say, though, it does make a difference because there's a lot of late bloomers sometimes in baseball. The Mets last year, towards the end of the season, they were making kind of a run where if things had broken their way a couple more times, they could have been.
Well, hold on. Let me say this about the Mets. The Mets, in the first 10 games, if you listen to their fans, they always have a great record, and then things have changed,
the floor falls
and then
out.
the rest of the season, when they start losing, it's like
we
the
knew
apocalypse.
We knew it was going to happen. Then
right.
It comes back up to give us a little bit of hope.
They definitely have a better team than they had last year, and they have some young players that are going to get a lot better. I think we'll talk about Pete Alonso, the polar bear, in a later question.
Got to get a shirt with him.
They have the Braves in that division. They have the Nationals.
Yeah.
Can they beat out one of those teams to get into a spot? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. Definitely going to be questionable.
They have the pitching.
Yeah.
Can they put the bats together? You're going to have the DH now in the National League. That could be a blessing for the Mets. Having allowing just another bat to get in the lineup. You're going to have increased
I agree.
offense. Now it goes both ways. The other team's going to have the same thing.
It's like it's crazy to me that wasn't a thing the whole time. Like it's just I don't understand. How
I think it's only going to. I believe it's only for this year and maybe next year, and then they're going to go back.
See like how they feel.
But I think National League fans are probably going to fall in love with the DH.
Oh, I'm sure. The Mets would love to have. The Mets fans, like we would love to have somebody else to just root for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have increased offense, more runs, more exciting games.
Exactly what we need.
It's going to be a better thing. Major players opting out. I mean, I think you're starting to see. I don't know, Ant, if you could pull up any players that have opted out.
Wasn't Trout questionable too?
I think Trout's going to play. I think if you're on a contender, you're going to play. If you're on a team that you don't have a chance or you don't feel is going to be a contender, you might opt out. But I believe there are Nationals players that are not going to play. It's going to affect the season. I mean, players opting out, players getting sick, players getting hurt, and that's why I said depth is kind of like the number one thing that I think is going to prevail during this season and show out, because you're going to need to fill spots at a certain point in time. And teams that are thin, they don't have a good pitching staff. It's going to be tough because you're going to have to throw a guy that might not be ready. And maybe that gives a person a chance, but still, you don't want to even take that chance when you only have 60 games. Like, every game really counts.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like they say it normally means that, but
it
really does matter. You can't have a bad game because you have 60 games to prove yourself, and you're going to have to either win the division or get one of those 2 wild card spots. And I don't know if teams go on a cold streak or they lose a couple guys, it could be bad news.
Yeah.
So there's a couple guys from the Diamondbacks, Mike Leake, from the Braves, Felix Hernandez and Nick Markakis, from the White Sox, Michael Kopech, the Rockies, Ian Desmond, from the Dodgers, David Price.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
That's
David Price not playing actually hurts the Yankees' chances.
How's that?
Because the Yankees, and you can look this stat up on our next question, look up David Price's stats against the Yankees. He's an automatic loss every time.
Really?
And how many times did they crush him?
Yeah, always.
That's actually really funny.
He's been because he was on the Blue Jays, he was on the Rays.
They have his number for sure.
The Red Sox, they have his number every time.
It's funny how that works with some players and teams. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just playing in that, you know what I mean? It's just the prestige of the name you're going against. Because that happens in football and stuff, too. Like, there's some players that just can't compete in certain areas. I can't think of another example right now. I just know it happens.
Let's do our next question here, and I think it relates to
actually, I'm sorry. I did think of an example. It's actually, sorry, take it back. Apologies again to Jets fans. I really am sorry for this one. The Jets, to the best of my knowledge, have never beaten the Eagles. And I would love for them to do that because I fucking hate the Eagles.
The thing is, they don't have many opportunities to, and they just
That's
haven't
true.
taken advantage
They don't,
of
but
it.
like in the, they've both been in the league since at least the 70s. Like the Eagles longer than the Jets. But like, that's, you know what I mean? You got to think at least like 2, maybe 3 times a decade. They've never won. That's crazy.
That is, and there's probably a ton of teams like that.
Oh,
You just don't realize it. They just don't play each other.
Exactly.
Especially with like the new interleague schedule where they're kind of mixing the games in. When you don't notice them as much. When they used to do they had those 2 weeks of interleague play, you don't see some of those matchups as you might. And like this year, we're getting a lot of interleague play just because of the nature of the schedule. You're gonna have a lot of. I think the Mets and the Yankees, I don't know how many times they play, but they play more than often.
Yeah.
And more than they usually would. And then, the Yankees open up with the Nationals right away. So you're going to get some interesting matchups. And the Jets-Eagles, we'll have to look into that.
We asked that might be a real thing. I don't know if we can have a resident Italian here look that up. But I know he is busy reading these questions for us.
I got you. All right, Pat wants to know also, does a shortened season benefit a front runner like Dodgers or Yankees, or does it give more opportunities for a team that might not have been favored in the original 162-game season?
I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head before. It 100% benefits the front runners, but it also benefits the teams with depth.
Right, and there's 2 things that also are unpredictable. I think you have to definitely, number 1, have luck, and number 2, and luck being, you're healthy, you don't get hit with something, because there could be a team that they don't have anything wrong with them, and then like the Dodgers or the Yankees, they could get devastated by the infection or by just injuries in general. And like I said, and I touched on it before, if you don't have the depth, then how are you going to do? Is it going to give new guys opportunities that you didn't think could make it? Are guys going to get hot? Baseball is a game of, hot streaks, cold streaks. What's going to happen during the season? You only have the 60 games, which is still a lot of games, but players are used to playing that 162, and they're almost going to have to develop a different mentality if they want to break through. And maybe some teams will have that. It's hard to say. Are the Dodgers and the Yankees going to come out and say, hey, we have the depth, we have the talent, we're gonna take it? Or are teams like that usually show up like the A's, or maybe there's some wild card team that's going to show up, maybe like a team like the Brewers who have a lot of talent, or they're going to steal the show and run, and
who knows?
You don't know. It's really tough to predict just what's going on, and I apologize because we're trying to do our best, but there's so many factors that go into this.
The Eagles are 11-0 versus the Jets.
They've only played 11 times.
11 times.
That's even less than I thought. So,
70,
so it's not that surprising. But as with Ohio State, fuck Philadelphia.
73 was the first game.
I'm sorry, 7-3?
No, 73.
Oh, gotcha.
1973.
That's also believable.
Shock on his face.
Yeah, it could have also been the actual score.
And then, Ant, let's jump to the other MLB question before we go into anything else.
Okay. This one is from Drew Mack. He wants to know, give me your 2020 MLB 60-game home run champ and how many. He has Pete Alonso with 60.
I would love that.
Also
That's a
huge,
home run a game.
Huge Mets fan. Jets.
Love
Mets, Jets, and Nets. He is.
He's a rhymer.
Shout out to Drew Mack. I put Drew from Oceanport because he's a big sports radio guy, and that's just a common thing.
Drew from Oceanport.
National League, I think you have Christian Yelich. I think he's going to be the front runner. I mean, Pete Alonso is definitely in contention. 60 home runs in 60 games. If someone does that, that's amazing. When's
Judge back? I know he's
Judge is back.
Judge is back.
Oh, he's back, baby.
He's back. So we're taking him out of this entirely?
I'm not going to take him out, but I just don't like picking him because every time I pick him in fantasy or that, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not commenting on the individual for my team here. But I was going to pick someone.
Yeah, I mean, you have I like Ronald Acuna from the Braves, young guy. I think this will be his third year. He could be the home run champ. Christian Yelich, which I said he was destroying the ball last year.
Hates that ball.
Hates the ball. I can see. I mean, the American League I think is more open if you look at it. I mean, obviously the Yankees have some big players, like you said. You mentioned Judge. They have Stanton, but they just can't stay healthy. So I don't have a lot of confidence saying their names, putting them in it. We could go dark horse, Old Faithful Nelson Cruz.
Ooh,
that guy's a home run machine.
Call. Okay.
Who do you have anybody on top of your mind that
I do, but like I said, I can't say
right.
it. So my Judge was my guy I was throwing out there.
Okay.
Not to sacrifice
him.
We're not. I'm just saying he was the one. But I can't say what I'm thinking.
We'll write it down on paper.
Yeah.
And
we'll see what happens. We'll seal it up. That's what we should. We're just put it in an envelope, seal it up.
That's just reminding of the show. Me and Karen are watching Dark. Envelopes, time travel, the whole deal. Watch the show. It's a crazy show on Netflix. Dark. Let's go to the soccer question, Ant.
All right. Last question from Pat from South Kakalaki.
Thanks, Pat.
MLS is back. Tournament started. Will y'all be watching? Who do y'all support?
Y'all is a common South Carolina Southern term, which I don't say it much, and I went to school there. But Pat's a big y'all guy. I'll tell you that much.
He's a yaller. So you
He's a yaller. MLS has started, okay? So I have a little proposition for you guys.
All right, let's hear it.
There's 4 of us in the room. I got all the teams right here in this bag.
Oh, shit. Wait, we can't pick our own teams? What if we know which team?
If you want to pick a team, otherwise I want to put something on the table.
Okay, my bad. Sorry, go ahead.
And then we'll each pick a team, and based on the results of the tournament, it'll lead to something else.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in.
All right,
I'm
so I'm proposing that out of the 4 of us, the bottom 2 who finish in the worst possible position, which mean eliminated from the original groups, and then if there's a tie, least amount of goals or goal differential, whichever we agree upon, repeat the Blazing Challenge on camera.
Hold on, wait. I was going to say I have something to add to it, but go ahead.
The first person that finishes the best and the second person that finishes in second place, obviously, are stopped from doing any of this. However, the person that finishes in first would get to pick how many wings they're willing to distribute between those two people.
Wow.
I like that. That's a lot. But they have to be finished this time, not just bitten once and you walk off camera, right?
He's not paying attention.
Yeah, he's not paying attention at all.
Question.
He's having flashbacks to that one tiny nibble.
I'm trying to word my question right that I have for you too.
We have a live question later from the
question.
Cameron.
The nibbler.
Nibbler, Cam.
All right, so the tournament has already started.
Okay.
So if you pick a team that
Is out.
they're not out. So the first group, so there's 4 teams in each group. It's played like the World Cup. So I believe the top 2 teams from each group advance to the next phase of the tournament, which is a regular playoff. Okay? So you just don't want to finish in the bottom 2. Now there are, let's see, A, B, C, D, E, F. There's 7 groups, 4 teams in each group.
Wait, what am I doing?
You're just picking a
Don't worry
paper
about
out of
it.
the bag.
You're going to do the Blazing Challenge.
Yeah.
You know, fuck you guys. I can't wait to do the next Ninja for Assholes.
Bull testicles.
It's close.
So who wants...
It better fucking
Do you want
not.
me to?
If I have to put a gun...
Do you want me to just pick
No.
for you?
Hard pass, no.
I'll pick. I'll reach my
Can't
hand
back
in.
out.
What do you mean?
All right,
can't back
Ant,
out?
Ant's gonna.
Rules.
Now this
What
could
rules?
this could lead. Now I have teams that I would want to support, but I'm going to go off this.
Okay,
And
that's fair.
this possibly could lead to a new fanship for one of our
I
friends.
was gonna
here.
say I personally want to root for the Red Bulls. I feel like if I was gonna pick a team, that would be my team. So, but I'm open to this. I like this
I'm going to
idea.
root for the Red Bulls as well, just from obviously that'd be my New Jersey squad.
Yeah.
I also have ties to the Seattle Sounders.
There you go.
Shout out, Mike.
Shout out to Mike. Shout out to my cousin Mike Seaman and all his buddies that played there.
Nice.
But go ahead, Ant. You have first pick.
All right.
Don't look. I tore these really bad on computer paper. So, who's your squad?
Oh, boy. I know nothing about
With
MLS.
the first pick in the MLS
So-
is back tournament. The Italian selects.
The
the
LA
Blazing
Galaxy.
Cup.
Ooh, okay. So an oldie, but I don't know if they're a goodie this year.
Are you sure
we
it's
will
LA and
find
not
out.
La? It's not La Galaxy?
La
There's
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
there's 2 La teams.
Oh,
The Galaxy are not the supreme team.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Damn it.
Damn it.
But now you are tied to them for eternity.
Yeah, I dropped the one I wanted. What's this?
Uh-oh.
We good? What we have, dude? Holy shit! The New York Red Bulls. Let's go.
Oh,
if that's
my
not a
God.
sign, I don't know what is.
You could possibly buy a jersey and just be happy.
I kind
with
of think
having
I
that.
need to.
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of think I need to. That's fandom right there.
So, all right, so the bottom 2
I
guys.
guess you could say I'm on that bullshit.
We'll explain the rules again in a little bit.
I love the dirty look Cameron just gave me.
Who's
Did not make it on
Cameron?
camera.
Cameron James is gonna need a really obscure squad.
Hold on.
Miami?
Wow! Oh man!
Is that
I
good
see a
or bad?
repeat Blazing Wing challenger.
Who the fuck's Miami?
They're
They're in town.
the
So-
new
Who's
team.
this team?
Oh, we will.
That's the
Hold on,
point.
you
None of
missed
us
the
really
rules.
follow
You were
soccer.
wording your question.
True.
All right, last pick.
Wait, how many teams do I get?
I don't know.
Just one.
Wait, can I like substitute?
This is Sean's game.
Toronto. Not feeling good about Toronto.
No?
I
Who-
feel
who
like
wants-
I'm
who wants to
eating
know who is
hot
the
wings.
best shot?
Yeah, who has the best shot?
Probably LAFC. They're Atlanta, LAFC. They're
Gotcha.
still. But hey, these are our teams. This is what we
Let's
live for.
go, baby.
Okay.
Red Bulls.
What am I doing?
Okay,
Where-
if
where
you're in
can
the
we
bottom
catch
2
these?
out of the 4 teams we just picked, you have to repeat
I got that.
the
So- oh, wait,
Blazing
so
Challenge.
You have to finish the wings.
If you're second place, you're safe. If you're first place, you get to pick how many wings will be divvied out amongst the bottom 2.
I do kind of.
So you have to pray for your team. Now there are games.
When does it end?
The first round is over July 23rd.
Wait, so what if my team gets out right away?
Then you're in trouble, and you better hope that we're all out the first round and that your team scored
Is
the
my
most
team
goals.
May God have mercy
So-
on your soul.
Do you
What's my team's
guys
record?
want your schedules?
What's my record?
Yeah, I do.
I
When do you
play
almost want to
next?
say
Well, you
we
lost
should
to
be able
Orlando
just
on Wednesday.
surprise
already.
Oh, come on.
whoever like loses. Like, just like the rules would be like not during the workday, but you can just show up like at their house with like 20 Blaze Wings. Like, surprise, you got to go right now.
So,
or during a podcast?
Yeah, oh my God, could you imagine?
Matt, you guys play Atlanta tomorrow at 8.
Oh, hey.
At 8?
At 8.
Who else is in that group? Can you say?
We're kind of.
I just have a schedule right now.
Because now I'm excited about
Yeah,
this.
I
Now we got a
needed
team.
something to get us
I'm gonna-
involved.
Yeah, I'm
here.
about to hold on. I'm about to Google a jersey right now. Who's
I
your
can't
favorite-
believe you pulled the Red
That.
Bull.
What are the odds of that?
Oh man.
Cameron, you play.
You got that on
Miami
video,
plays
too. I
Philadelphia
love
at 10:30 at night
None of this means
on
anything
Tuesday.
to me. What ranking is my team?
Let's just say your team is basically like the newest team in the MLS, and they haven't played an actual regular season game yet.
And Sean, who'd you pick again?
I have Toronto.
Can I get a hat?
Toronto FC.
Yeah, my son has a Red Bulls jersey. It's
You
nice.
play Wednesday.
Oh, they got
at
Red
8.
Bull's masks? Okay, I'm with that. That's going to be a new thing going forward.
Yo, my team's 0-1 already.
Oh no! Oh no!
no.
Oh man!
That's brutal.
Well, I guess while we figure all this out, I know we have a couple questions
We
left.
do. We
We're
have
running-
we have a
we're-
couple from dear friend of the show who we didn't realize how deeply connected to the show he
Yeah.
was until recently. Timmy Whalen.
fellow West Long Branch resident like myself and
Shout
Mr.
out to the
Valenti.
Spartans.
and a terror on the defensive line with me in flag football.
What's
let's go.
his 40 speed?
It's 40 speed? It's blazing. It's ridiculously fast.
Blazing wing high.
Blazing wing. We couldn't measure it. It was so fast.
All right. Tim wants to know, with McCaffrey being paid $64 million on his contract, do you think this sets up Saquon up to be the highest paid running back ever?
Oh, yeah.
I think it sets him up, and like we talked about Mahomes, the contracts keep going up and up and up. If Saquon can even just keep the pace he had
Yep.
in the first couple of years, I think based on what he can do on the field for a team,
he's such
the
a
Giants would be-
transcendent talent,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Giants just would be dumb not to pay him, especially after his rookie deal is up.
Yeah, and he's
because-
already, if I'm not mistaken, one of the highest paid players at his position. But I do think that only trends upward.
I think they're going to probably try to sign him prior to him free.
Oh yeah, if
hitting
they're
free
smart,
agency.
if they're smart, they'll do it this year because I got a feeling he's primed. But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, yes. The answer is yes, Mr. Tim Whalen.
Yes,
Friend of the show.
100% friend of the show.
All right, Ant, let's hit that next one.
Yep. This is from Ryan Martin.
Clemson fan, big Clemson fan.
He says,
South Carolina guy, South Kakalaki.
South Carolina.
South Kakalaki. Junior, senior college football players. Does the NCAA give them another year of eligibility if they choose to take it?
It should.
They definitely should. Do I think? I think players will take it if it's given. It's like basically being redshirted another year. For the guys that aren't going to go to the league, that want to just keep playing college football, even if they are going to go to the league and maybe they have an injury this year, or it just gives them another opportunity to prove themselves, and I don't see why they wouldn't, especially if it's going to be a limited schedule, limited
agree.
visibility. I mean, it's just not going to be. It's that argument that parents made for their kids this year, that they were upset that their kids did not get to enjoy what a true senior year would be. It's the same thing where they're not going to really get to play in front of fans. They're not going to get to travel to some places they thought they were going to play games. And if you're not going to go to the league, why wouldn't you just give these guys another opportunity to play a regular season?
Totally agree with you on that.
And we have a live question right now.
Live question.
Live question.
From the Nibbler.
Here we go.
Me.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't there another?
All right, here's my live
Question.
question.
Maybe.
from friend of the
Focus and pay attention to me as I speak.
show? Sorry. Excuse me.
After going 5-0 against the Houston Oilers, why have the Giants only managed to beat the Titans once in the past 23 years? Fuck you.
Ant, can I get how many times they've played the
They're 6 and
Titans the
6.
last
They're
20?
6 and 6.
Wait,
They beat them-
overall.
They're 6 and 6, but they beat them 5 times in a row as Houston, as the Oilers, and they've only beaten them once since they became the Titans, which was in 2014. Yeah.
All right,
Hold on,
we're
I
going
have
to
some
pull some
questions here.
statistics
we're
here.
gonna pull it. But in the meantime, I do know there's another question that we had from friend of the show,
Cameron's
Tim
right.
Whalen, and it's for. Oh, he's right.
6 and 6.
And this question is actually for Ant the Italian.
Oh,
hey.
Tim Whalen wants to know what it's like to watch your team's Super Bowl runs on VHS.
So Tim Whalen is now excluded from question asking. for the
Former
rest-
friend of the show.
Former friend of the show, Tim Whalen. It hurts. I don't know if I own a VCR anymore.
You got to bring him back. You got to bring the VCR back.
VCR.
Maybe I can convert
It's
them
the
to
future.
DVDs, so then I could say, "Hey, I watched Cowboys Super Bowls on DVD." I don't know what you're talking about.
So the answer is conversion.
Conversion, yeah. So
Mm,
thanks a lot,
digital.
Tim, former friend of the
Look,
show.
all I have
All
to
I
say,
know is you're not going to watch them live anytime
yeah,
soon.
and all I know is all the Titans fans are watching is Frank Wycheck throw a backward lateral pass to someone and then missing the Super Bowl. Let's talk about
They're ignoring my
Titans
question.
Super Bowl wins.
They're ignoring my question.
How many
Okay,
Super
I'm
Bowl
sorry.
wins?
That's not the question I had.
I'm sorry, repeat your actual question again.
you
if you
can't
would.
Why
You
haven't the
can't-
Giants beat the Titans
In the past 23 years,
Oh,
they've only beat
that's-
them once since they became
23 years. What was
Tennessee.
the last year we beat you guys?
what?
What was the last year we beat you guys? It was 23 years ago?
2014.
2014 was the last time we beat you?
Yeah.
I would say what was in 23 years, so, but we've won in 23 years. Was it?
You've won once in
No,
23
no,
years.
I think
No,
we
I'm
got
looking at it.
2 Super Bowl wins.
That's not what I
We're
asked.
far
Excuse
more
me,
concerned with winning
that's
the
not
league
the
than
question.
beating the Titans.
That's not the question.
I know, but that's my answer.
But
is
that's
that
not.
we're
That's
more
not the. So
concerned
you can't answer
with
my
winning the Super
question.
Bowl. I can answer your
You
question.
can't answer
Why
my
haven't
question.
we
I
beaten
mean,
you? 'Cause we
let's-
got bigger
You can't answer my
concerns.
question.
I mean,
You can't
let's
answer my
let's
question.
look at let's look at all right. 2018. What was this? 2018.
I will say Vince Young, for whatever reason, was
Vince Young.
like Vince Young was a series. Actually, that's another one where players have teams numbers. Vince Young, I don't think has ever lost to the Giants. Every time we played Vince Young, he fucking beat us, which made zero sense because he wasn't that good.
No.
But even when he was on the Eagles and Michael Vick was out, fuck the Eagles.
I think we really
Vince
need to
Young,
look
like,
when
went
they
back
were
and win.
when they were
Yeah.
contenders because the Titans are 8-6 in 2018.
Yeah, and then
the
the
Giants are
game-
5-9. Like that's not an accomplishment to
Yeah,
be a team that's
and
down.
the game we went to,
Bullshit.
you guys absolutely stomped on us, but that was on the back of Derrick Henry. So I will say, you guys have had our number recently. Actually, I don't think we ever beat them under Tom Coughlin. We actually have had very
What
bad
about
luck
when-
against the Titans.
Who was
I
your
mean,
coach in
2014
2014?
was the last time they played previously, and the
2000
Giants smacked them 36-7, according to my statistics here.
True. That's true. Yeah.
They had Zach Mettenberg was their QB, and Jake Locker had their
I
most
remember
rushing
Jake.
yards that game with 28. Who was their backup quarterback? I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
That's what she said.
Shout out to The Office, great show. I'm trying to get some more games here. I don't know. I mean, they
Yeah.
obviously don't play that often, so it's tough to.
So the Titans have the
2006.
Giants number for the past 23 years. Is the
20
But we
23
beat
years.
you in, what did you say,
The-
2014?
As long as the Giants and
Yeah,
Titans
why do you
preseason
keep-
game
why do
is
you
not
keep
being
going back to
canceled.
2014?
Didn't you just say that?
Yes, but why do you keep going back to
Well,
2014?
because it's not like
It
you
was
have
a
a straight streak.
It
We
was
won.
a great year.
Yeah, you were on a 5-game losing streak against the Titans until then.
So what you're telling me is, oh, no, never mind. Sorry,
See?
never mind.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
Giants
So
flip
right
there,
now
I
you.
couldn't-
Okay. So I have your number.
I mean, you have my phone number. That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, the Giants in 2006
All right, I'm gonna raise this
blew
up.
a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter to lose to the Titans, which is not a good look. That's right, Michael Scott. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. However, we need to look at other statistics here. We can't just
It's not
look
the
at
question. It's not the question.
It's
not the question.
We can't look.
And we don't
We can't
play-
look at head-to-head
Bullshit.
matchups
I say, we
to
don't
compare
play
the
them this year.
franchises.
Just
Oh,
like
wait a
classic
minute.
Giants
We do
fans.
play each other this year.
Preseason game.
Preseason game.
We
I
went
will
last
take
year
it though.
preseason.
But let's put everything
Yeah,
on the
we went
line.
preseason last year. Remember?
Let's put everything
No,
on the
it was
line.
regular season last year.
Whoever
No,
wins the
preseason.
preseason
That was
game
the
this
reigning
year
game?
is
Yeah,
the reigning
That was
champ.
regular season.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was freezing. out.
Classic
That was regular
Giants
season.
fans always dodging questions,
Yeah,
bringing up
regular
other
season.
stuff.
Why is it 23 years? Let's go with an even number.
Imagine.
Our overall record is 6-6. That means this preseason game is going to decide who
No,
the
it's
better
not.
team
It's
is. Yes.
preseason.
Sure.
That
They
would
still have to
bring-
play. Someone's
You
playing.
play for a quarter.
They're weighing.
Not
They're
even. You
still
play
weighing
2 downs. Okay,
You
whatever.
play to win the game.
Hello.
Bullshit.
You still. There's still going to be injuries. Do you not want this opportunity?
I want a real game, not some bitch ass.
We're not going to have our best players on the field.
That's pointless. I want to whoop some ass. with
It's
the
all
best
about
players.
depth. As we talked with the Major League Baseball, it's all about depth. The
Yeah.
preseason game is going to come down to depth. Who has better
I
depth?
do
Joe
know.
Judge and the Giants are going to whoop that ass
Oh, yeah, they're
this
getting in there.
preseason. We're going to take that 7-6 record.
I will say, I'll even
And we're not bragging
I'll
rights.
even do you a service and dial up the only other Titans fan I know, my buddy Justin.
I know he went with us, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there at the game last time. We're sitting with him in the whiskey bar. He'll come out.
It's a preseason game.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yo, that's like saying
Justin Worsley
that's like
does. I'm
saying-
calling you out.
That's like saying Spider-Man fights Bruce Wayne.
8:22.
Peter Parker. whooped
8:22. We're meeting at the cave.
Preseason.
We're watching Giants Titans
Yep.
at 8 p.m.
It's a lock.
Watch party here.
Bitch ass.
We're throwing it. Why am I a nerd? Watch party. Giants
Let's
Titans for
go.
bragging rights. Blazing wings included.
Wait, we should do something. Is that going to be how we just end all these bets?
Losers
eats blazing wings.
Or the next concoction I cook. Dun 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 dun.
Things like this make me.
Before we get going, let's shout out our beer of the episode, which is a nice Bell's Brewery from.
None other than the great state of Michigan.
This is their official beer, which is a hazy IPA, and it's actually delicious.
It's very good. Yeah, very smooth. I liked it a lot.
I don't see much of the haze or taste much of the haze.
Yeah,
but
I didn't get a haze either, but it did.
delicious,
it did go down
delicious
easily.
that it is. It's very
Fueled
good.
my hatred of Ohio.
What about you? What about you, Italian? How'd you like the beer?
I enjoyed it. You're right, though. I didn't really taste too much of the.
Shout out to Price
Thanks.
Liquors too for this being the only craft beer they have. I kind of struggled with my choice. It was either that or between one of those Corona seltzers.
So would you say the price is right?
I would. The price is right, bitch. Matt, where can everyone find us?
So, as always, you can find us on Instagram at Why Am I a Nerd Official, on Facebook and YouTube at Why Am I a Nerd, on Twitter at 4th with the number 4 TH and 1 WON pod. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars would be appreciated.
We want to shout out Toronto FC, who is my pick in the MLS tournament. Bring it home, baby. I don't want to eat any more wings.
Yeah, and of course, the New York Red Bulls. Let's go, New York.
Let's go Galaxy.
Thanks everyone for watching and
Miami.
listening. I'm Sean.
I'm Matt.
We'll catch you next time.